Yo, Sid Baljeet had game or what? BIP Bizarre Interest Productions, and you know what's interesting and bizarre? Baljeet's reputation amongst the internet, because in terms of Phineas and Ferb, his base is as broken as Candace, Linda for some reason, Actor Age, who Vanessa should have ended up with, the crossover with Miles Murphy, and apparently the last 2 seasons? Jeez, the Phineas and Ferb fandom's a lot more complicated than people give it credit for. Some say Baljeet's a bad representation because he was bullied, had an accent, was always studying math, got harassed, made fun of by Buford. Hell, there are people out there who admit it as a South Asian American. People would call them Baljeet because that was the only Indian representation that they saw on TV. It doesn't help that Baljeet fits other cliched Indian characters like Ravi from Jessie, Raj from The Big Bang Theory, and Chirag from Dive Won't Be Kid. All unathletic, overly studious rejects that are weird, nerdy, and bullied, have that Indian accent that apparently isn't natural since allegedly one of those characters' actors were told to act and speak like that. Noah Cho, a half-Korean teacher in the Bay Area of Los Angeles, wrote about how people have felt undesirable because of his race and can't accept the idea of being unattractive, unlike me, who was the pinnacle of beauty and mystique. Although, jokes aside, society's beauty standards are so annoying, even Cho was surprised his dad ended up with a white woman. I don't know, be happy that you're alive and well, but I do understand where he's coming from. This is not the first time I've heard about this. Heck, allegedly, Dan Povenere and G. Marsh had to come in and ask fans to stop using Baljeet as a slur because people were using the character as a way of belittling others, especially those of Indian descent, and had to ask people to back off. Considering he pointed out people were actually making valid criticisms about Baljeet that didn't age well, yeah, based on them for actually calling out stupid racism. Though no one's saying you can't have an Indian character in your show, or spreaded hate towards the voice actor, or that there aren't Indian people who see themselves in Baljeet. He also has his own Reddit, which only has 335 members as of the scripting of this video, and people dressed up as him for Halloween. Not gonna lie, some people do rock in his aura really well. And people have pointed out elements of his character and personality did make him liked by others. Being studious isn't inherently a bad thing, especially with India's education system. His character wasn't malicious. Being Indian wasn't the focus of his character all the time. He still went on adventures with the rest of them as main characters. His bromance with Buford, post-bullying, was nice. And in a show where most of the characters were two-dimensional at best, and some people are pointing out he's better than most people give him credit for. Like when he went ham on that mountain without Phineas and Ferb's help in Buford's life, and saved Buford's life twice. But yeah, let's get to the topic of this video. Baljeet actually had some game. Despite everything I said, yeah, well, kind of. Looking back on Baljeet, he actually had some more love interest than most people on the cast. So we're going to look through each one and answer the question, did Baljeet actually have some game? First up, Isabella, the unrecruited crush. Wait, pause, I know some of you are saying. Baljeet actually had a crush on Isabella? Okay, when the brothers needed 2 people to act like a couple, Isabella claimed Baljeet charged to that empty chair like a crazed bull in What Do It Do. He was also really disappointed in not Phineas and Ferb because him and Buford disguised themselves as Phineas and Ferb to prove to Irving's brother that their inventions were real, and he asked her in his own words, "Was I convincing Phineas?" And she said, No, you weren't. Then, in Ask a Foolish Question, he was also really jealous and annoyed when it showed Isabella thinking about Phineas as the computer displayed random images, including one where it looked like she was thinking about him. Also, when Candace goes to Baljeet's house to watch clips, his computer screen shows a silhouette of Isabella in Phineas's birthday cliporama. Like, why would you have just her if you only saw her as a friend unless your friendship is really that strong? And what was probably a call out to people who like it when one person makes a joke but despises it when another person doesn't. In Bully Bust, Isabella finds Phineas cute when he uses needlessly complicated words. When Baljeet does the same thing, Isabella tells him it's not as cute when he does it, and he actually looks kind of sad about that. Next, Mishti Patel, the childhood friend. That sinking feeling introduced Baljeet's childhood friend from India, Mishti Patel. Turns out they played a lot 4 years ago, but he didn't know he was a girl because she was a tomboy. Like, he actually says she turned into a girl. Okay, mask off for a sec. Dude, you didn't ask her when you guys were younger if she was a boy or a girl? Like, just because you like traditionally male things doesn't mean you're not a woman. Like, even Phineas says that she probably was a girl from the beginning. And when you can see the flashback, she still has long hair and pigtails. And I'm not saying guys can't have pigtails or ponytails. Most of them rock it pretty well. But it's weird he never put 2 and 2 together and he's supposed to be the smart one of the group. Anyway, They spend the episode dealing with Phineas and Ferb being on the cruise ship. They were later seen holding each other's hands by the sunset, but Misty says at the end of the episode, I just wanted to hang out like we used to. And granted, you could say it was a cop-out, but it also served as a point that Baljeet isn't a total loser, but just has confidence issues. If he just matured enough to say he was nervous after seeing her for so long, I don't think she would have judged him for that. People act awkward around their friends they haven't seen or met in a while, and I think it's important for people with shy or introverted tendencies to take a deep breath and open the door to start that conversation. Misty never gave off the vibe she was going to hate him, and it's like some people say, if it's not going to work out romantically, platonically, there's still a chance it could work out and you guys still have a close friendship. So, Wendy Stinglehopper, the girl of the week. So, Wendy Stinglehopper is a character I really can't say much on. Like, between her and Baljeet, they know each other's names and they both like math. Then again, the fact he risked his life to save her does mean he clearly had feelings for her, which he delivered. After that, both of them noticed the mistletoe above him, so she gave him a gentle kiss, which got him acting shy. But then he ended up giving her a double dance dip into one heck of a passionate kiss. If you want to talk about Disney Channel's bold kisses, this might be tied with Teddy and Spencer's reuniting kiss in terms of, damn, they went there. Then he just left her surprised like a Chad and said later, so yeah, he does like her. He's also the first character in the show to kiss a girl, which, hey, that's neat. My only problem is that we don't know much about their relationship before or afterwards outside of what the episodes all tell us. Again, she doesn't show up either before or afterwards, plus I feel like this could have the same development or fleshed out relationship had it been done to the actual character we have grown to know that also has feelings for him. And that person is... give it up for the girl he should have had those moments with, Ginger Hirano, who is also Stacy's sister. Also, Stacy is based, but we will talk about her another time. So, Ginger had a crush on Baljeet, and honestly, all those moments with Wendy were things and moments Baljeet and Ginger should have had, because, well, that's Baljeet's best ship when you look at it. Him risking his life to save Ginger's present instead of Wendy would have worked far better since Ginger always believed in him and realized those feelings instead. Plus, the mistletoe scene would have hit that harder since A, we've known Ginger had a crush on him far longer, so it's more believable. 2, Ginger's not afraid to speak her mind, so her kissing him first would feel more believable. 3, given that there are episodes where they interact later on, why not have the kiss be the thing that leads them to interacting more on screen? Because the problem with this ship was that there wasn't a lot of on-screen interactions between the two of them. For example, in Happy New Year, they were seen dancing together, and Drisselstein-Oween, they danced together again during the events. Then in B Story, she also gets turned into a bee, but A, that episode was paired with B-Day, and what happened in B-Day? Oh, nothing, except Ginger was flirting with Baljeet, who was telling her about the connection between bees and dancing before she got shrunken down. But until you watch B Story, it just looked like Baljeet got robbed a romantic counter opportunity. However, Ginger was able to use the information Baljeet gave her to help the other girls get that beekeeping patch by explaining how to communicate with the bees via the waggle dance he explained back said episode prior. So thanks to Baljeet, the Fireside Girls were able to survive and fix their situation. And yet, despite that, every time Ginger mentions how she thinks Baljeet is cute, the other girls treat her weird for having a crush on him, which I have never understood to this day. The Fireside Girls will roast Ginger for liking Baljeet, but are fine with their leader in Isabella having a crush on someone whose head is shaped like a triangle. I call hypocrisy. Heck, I'd argue these two are more healthy. It just didn't take Phineas so long to recognize that he liked Isabella or vice versa. Also, and to further this point, 10 years later, they become a couple and act their age. They're dating. Ginger needs advice from the other girls on a movie to watch while he's trying to keep the fact that they had a plan to get Phineas and Isabella together a secret. They also bring up Misty, leaving Ginger jealous. It wasn't 100% sure if they brought out Misty as saying as she and Baljeet eventually did date before deciding to call it quits and stay friends, or were they just pointing out that the episode they reunited. Side note, I actually finally decided to watch Act Your Age during the making of this video. It was sweet. I liked it. I mean, Amanda probably should have been mentioned, but I still liked it. Anyway, so yeah, Baljeet had an unrecruited crush, a friend that probably ended up in a temporary romantic relationship, and 2 romances. I wouldn't call him a positive lady killer or the positive equivalent of the negative connotation we give to girls and ladies with a huge dating roster, but the point still stands. For a character who got flagged for being an Indian stereotype, at the very least, the people working on him allowed them to be a character. And hey, unlike Ralphie from Jesse, he had a permanent love interest. Also, he actually had a more permanent love interest compared to Raj from The Big Bang Theory. Jeez, I should really talk about him one day. But yeah, let me know who you wanted Baljeet to end up with, what you thought about Baljeet as a character, and if you enjoyed the video. I'd say like, comment, and subscribe because that usually works, but since I'm too lazy to ask, VIP plus Arches Productions, signing off, and you all have a great day. Okay, 2 videos in a row where I forgot to mention something at the end. I swear it's not a coincidence. In fact, those productions were reversed. But Baljeet's actor Malik Pankoli is openly gay, is married to Ryan Corvea, and has written 2 middle-grade novels about queer Indian American boys, The Best At It and Nicola Loud. And that's pretty cool. So if you get the chance, check them out, because I might one day.